My name is Erica, and I was 36 when this happened. My mother-in-law introduced every person at the dinner table that night. She introduced her sister, her neighbor, my husband, two cousins, and even the little dog curled up beside one of the chairs. Then she looked straight past me and kept talking. A few minutes later, one of the guests pointed toward me and asked, "I'm sorry, and who is she?" My mother-in-law glanced at me, gave a tiny shrug, and said, "Oh, that's Nathan's wife." Not my name, not my daughter-in-law, just Nathan's wife. I had spent 2 years trying to make that woman feel like I belonged in her family. That was the moment I stopped. Nathan and I had been married for almost 2 years. Before we got married, I knew his mother, Gloria, was protective of him. Nathan was her only son, and they had always been close. I never expected her to treat me like a daughter, and I did not need that. I only wanted the normal level of respect you give the person your son chose to marry. At first, Gloria was polite in a distant way. She never said anything openly cruel. She just had a talent for making me feel temporary. When Nathan and I visited, she would ask him about work and make plans with him while I sat beside him. If I joined the conversation, she answered quickly and turned back to him. When she sent family group texts, I was often left out. If Nathan added me, she acted as if it had been an accident. I kept telling myself not to take it personally. I remembered her birthday. I brought the dessert she liked to Sunday dinners. When she needed someone to pick up a prescription because she was stuck at work, I did it. When relatives came from out of town, I helped make up the guest room. At Christmas, I bought gifts for Nathan's side of the family because he was terrible at remembering sizes and shipping dates. Gloria always thanked Nathan. The first few times, I laughed about it. "Your mom thinks you are suddenly amazing at buying scarves," I told him. Nathan smiled and kissed my forehead. "She'll warm up, give her time." That sentence became his answer for almost everything. When Gloria forgot to include me in a family photo, Nathan said, "Give her time." When she invited him to a cousin's birthday dinner and told him he could bring Erica if she wants, he said, "That's just how Mom talks." When she introduced me to an old friend as the woman Nathan married, he told me she was awkward and did not mean anything by it. I wanted peace more than I wanted to be right, so I kept showing up. The dinner that changed everything was at Gloria's house on a Saturday evening. She had invited her sister, two cousins, and a woman named Linda who had recently moved into the neighborhood. Linda brought a small brown dog named Benny because she did not want to leave him alone during a storm. I arrived early with Nathan. I brought a salad, a loaf of bread from the bakery Gloria liked, and a lemon cake I had made that afternoon. Gloria looked at the cake and said, "Nathan, you remembered I like lemon." Before I could answer, Nathan said, "Erica made it." Gloria paused. "Oh," she said, "that was nice." It was a tiny moment, but by then I had learned to notice them. When everyone arrived, Gloria moved around the room introducing people. She was in a cheerful mood. She put her hand on Nathan's shoulder and told Linda, "This is my son, Nathan." Then she introduced her sister, then the cousins. Linda laughed when Benny wandered under the table, and Gloria bent down and said, "And this little gentleman is Benny. He's the newest guest in the house." Everyone smiled. I was standing 3 feet away. Gloria looked directly at me for a second and then said, "All right, let's eat." I remember looking at Nathan. He had noticed. I could tell by his face, but instead of saying anything, he pulled out a chair for me. Dinner started. About 10 minutes later, Linda asked me where I lived. We started talking, and she seemed confused when I mentioned Nathan and I had driven over together. She looked from me to him. "I'm sorry," she said, "I don't think we were introduced. Who are you?" The table went quiet in that strange way tables do, when everyone realizes something awkward has happened. Before I could answer, Gloria looked up from her plate. "Oh," she said, "that's Nathan's wife." Then she took a sip of water and asked one of the cousins about work. That was it. Benny had gotten a name, a smile, and a little introduction. I got Nathan's wife. I felt my face get hot, but I did not argue. I smiled at Linda and said, "I'm Erica. It's nice to meet you." Linda looked embarrassed for me. "It's nice to meet you too, Erica," she said, putting obvious emphasis on my name. Nathan barely spoke for the rest of dinner. I did not ruin the evening. I did not confront Gloria at the table. I helped carry my own plate to the kitchen, said goodnight to everyone, and walked to the car. The moment Nathan shut his door, he said, "I know." I looked at him. "Do you?" He sighed. "Mom was rude." "No, your mother introduced a dog before she introduced me." I saw it. And when someone finally asked who I was, she still would not say my name. Nathan rubbed his forehead. "I'll talk to her." I had heard that before. So I asked him one question. "How much more time does she need?" He did not answer. I said, "We've been married almost 2 years. I am not asking your mother to love me. I am asking her to acknowledge that I am a person sitting at her table." "She's difficult," he said quietly. "Yes," I said, "and I have spent 2 years making her difficulty easier for everyone else." That was the first time Nathan really looked at me. I told him I was done trying to earn a place Gloria clearly did not want to give me. I was not asking him to cut contact with her. I was not banning her from our home. I was simply stepping out of the job I had quietly taken on. From then on, Nathan could remember his mother's birthday. Nathan could buy the gifts. Nathan could answer the family group texts. Nathan could decide what dish to bring. Nathan could pick up the prescription, make the reservation, order the flowers, and remember which aunt could not eat dairy. I was still polite. I just stopped working for approval. The difference showed up almost immediately. 2 weeks later, Gloria texted me asking what we were getting one of the cousins for her birthday. I replied, "You'll have to ask Nathan. He's handling gifts for his family now." A few days later, she asked if I could bring my lemon cake to Sunday dinner. "I won't be able to this time," I said. Then she asked if I could help her choose a restaurant for her upcoming 60th birthday because I'm better at those things. I told her Nathan would love to help you. He did not love to help her. For the first time, he had to keep track of all the things I had been doing behind the scenes. One night, he sat at the kitchen counter with his phone in his hand and said, "My mom has changed the restaurant 3 times." I looked up from my book. "That sounds frustrating." He gave me a long look. Then he laughed. "Okay," he said, "I get it." But Gloria did not. A week before her birthday, she called Nathan while we were eating dinner. I could hear her voice through the phone. "I don't understand what's going on with Erica," she said. "She used to make an effort. Now she acts like she doesn't want to be part of this family." Nathan went quiet. In the past, that was the moment he would have tried to smooth things over. He might have told her I was tired or busy. He might have asked me later to just do one more thing to keep the peace. Instead, he said, "Mom, you introduced a dog by name before you introduced my wife." There was silence on the other end. Gloria said, "Oh, for heaven's sake, is she still upset about that?" Nathan looked at me across the table. "No," he said, "I am." Another silence. He continued, "Erica spent 2 years making an effort with you. You treated her like she was temporary. Now that she stopped doing things for you, suddenly you want to call her family." Gloria started to say she had never meant to hurt me. Nathan cut in calmly. "Maybe you didn't mean to, but you did. And I kept asking her to tolerate it because it was easier for me than asking you to change." That sentence mattered more to me than anything he could have said at the original dinner. Because finally, he understood his part in it. Gloria's birthday came the following weekend. Nathan handled the reservation. He ordered the cake. He called the relatives. I went with him, brought a card, wished her happy birthday, and behaved exactly the way I wanted to be treated. I did not organize a thing. Gloria was noticeably quieter with me. Near the end of dinner, she thanked Nathan for putting everything together. Then she looked at me. "And thank you for coming, Erica." It was the first time in months I could remember her deliberately using my name in front of the family. I smiled and said, "Happy birthday." I did not need a dramatic apology in the middle of the restaurant. I needed the pattern to change. A month later, Nathan and I had a small dinner at our house. Some of his relatives came, along with a couple we knew from the neighborhood. Gloria arrived early and offered to help set the table. When the new couple walked in, Nathan went to greet them. He introduced his mother. Then he put his hand lightly on my back and said, "And this is Erica, my wife. She's the reason this place feels like home." It was not a performance. He did not look at Gloria when he said it. But I did. She heard him. Later that evening, while I was putting leftovers away, Gloria came into the kitchen. She stood there for a moment before saying, "I was unkind to you." I turned around. She looked uncomfortable, which told me the words were costing her something. "I think I kept seeing you as someone who was taking Nathan away," she said. "That wasn't fair." I did not rush to tell her everything was fine. I said no, it was. She nodded. Then she said, "I'm sorry, Erica." I accepted the apology, but I did not go back to the old arrangement. Nathan continued handling his side of the family. I helped when I genuinely wanted to, not because I was trying to prove I deserved a place. Gloria and I never became best friends. That was not the ending I needed. What changed was simpler. She stopped pretending I was temporary. Nathan stopped asking me to absorb disrespect, just because confronting it made him uncomfortable. And I stopped confusing endless effort with kindness. Sometimes fair consequences do not look like revenge. Sometimes you simply stop giving people the benefits of a relationship they refuse to acknowledge. The night Gloria introduced a dog before she introduced me, I thought the worst part was being embarrassed in front of a table full of people. It was. The worst part was realizing how hard I had been working to earn something that should have been basic. Respect. Once I stopped begging for it, everyone else finally had to notice what I had been carrying.